asked to do this. This is such a huge thing that I have been asked to do, and I really want to say thank you. I feel really privileged to be able to do this. Okay, let me just kind of give you some background information. My name is Annie, and I live in Durango, Colorado now, and I moved there in 2001. I moved at the end of 6th grade. I was part of the inspiration for this tape. I was the original Lunch Bunch, and I kind of spoke to the kids that Carrie and Jody were hosting about some of the things that I went through in school. And Carrie and Jody were very impressed at my work, and I just felt so honored to be able to help the kids. And I'm so glad that I can kind of speak to them, and having personally been there, I really felt an investment. I felt like I could help them. I am at the high end of autism. I have, let me see, what am I trying to say? So the autism spectrum is very wide, and even in my spectrum alone of Asperger's, there's very wide. The low end would be Rain Man. He is very typical Asperger's, and where I'm at, I actually don't fit the typical pattern. I do a lot of things differently than a typical person with Asperger's does, and I had to have a lot of changes. So today I work at the Rec Center. It's a city-owned gym in Durango. I love it. I've been there for 7 years. I'm part-time, and I really love it because I love to travel, and they really work well with my schedule. It's great. They really help me out a lot, and I love my customers. They're really great. Actually, my customers are my life. They kind of just make my job so much easier, and I just love it. It makes it super fun. Okay. Some of the things that I can tell you about my childhood, it was harder when I was in school because I didn't have these anti-bully laws to protect me, and that made it really difficult. Kids were mean, and we all know that kids can be harsh. But one of the things that really helped me, that my parents constantly did with me, my teachers too, was trying to address my feelings without just name calling. I feel messages really are something I still use today. They really helped me out, and it was a good way of doing it rather than just name calling. So that's something that really helped me, and I still use this today. Math was hard for me. Math was my hardest subject, and I did great in everything else. So I had adaptations, modifications in that, and that really helped a lot. And math is still hard for me today. I'm sure there's some of us who still have struggled with it. One of the things that really helped me is the fact that my mom was an educator. She worked with Jody as a speech path, and because we were really involved in the community, I had a personal relationship with my parents, and it was hard for me to call them Miss Smith or Miss Jones or whatever it was. I called them by their first name, and it was very hard for me to put that label on it. So that really helped. And when you have that personal connection, when your teacher becomes your teacher and your friend, it really makes all the difference. It really does. They were involved in so much of my life, and knew me even before I was in school, and it just makes a big difference. Okay, what else can I talk about? Some of the things that the pairs did that were very instrumental for me, touch math, and I'm sure you guys are very familiar with that. In fact, I still use it. I still count on my fingers, and that was very instrumental, and that helped a lot. Something else, the layout of the pages were different when I was in school. They had reading comprehension. There was the story on one side, and then you would flip it over, and there would be the pages on the other, and by the time I got to the page, I would forget to answer the question. So we made copies and had the question in front of me. That way I could kind of just connect the dots. Something else that really helped me was the communication between my parents and teachers was fabulous. I would have modifications made to my homework, and really I want to just encourage all of you not to be afraid to do that, because it does make a difference, and it made a difference for me. They went over my homework with me, and that made a big difference. And I seemed to really still grasp it, even though I had less work. And a lot of the kids didn't understand that it doesn't necessarily have to be as much to get the concept. You can still get it and you can still grasp it just as well. And I moved in the end of 6th grade, and I started middle school in Colorado. Moving to Colorado was a very different experience for me. Middle school was challenging here and in Colorado. The thing that really made it challenging here is the change between the old and familiar, the comfortable, the familiarity, to just kind of more, you know, you're changing classes, and there's just so much more going on. And the bullying, I mean, I got bullied so bad, it was awful. And it didn't make it any easier that my principal was a no hear it, no see it principal. If I don't personally hear it, if I don't personally see it, it doesn't exist. I'm gonna throw a pillow over my head and just pretend like it's not there. And that made it really hard, and also he was kind of old, so yeah, that made it hard too. I think he wanted to retire. Anyway, past the point. The good times, I had a great pair in middle school, Deb Woolard. I don't know if any of you know her. She was fabulous. You guys would love her. And she kind of helped me. We would do like real life stuff, and like we would bake cookies and that's what really helped me learn my math, was because the measurements in cooking you would have to apply, and when I was using things in a real life setting, that seemed to really help me connect the two together. And I was very involved in choir and DARE, and those two things together were just great. I made friends, I sing, I still sing. I loved it. It really helped me to connect with people. And then there was high school. And the people that say high school was the best 4 years of my life must have been popular, because it was a nightmare for me. It was absolutely horrific. I was bullied terribly, my gosh, beyond belief. It was just so bad. And the thing that made it really hard was because in high school I was so high, some of my teachers thought that or not my teachers, but kind of the principal thought that I was just faking it, and we had to really work to get me an IEP. That was really hard. And it was hard to get kind of a pair with me. I had to do a lot of it on my own, which made it very difficult. My freshman year, I actually was only there for 6 weeks because the bullying was so horrific, and I was clinging to my mother, who was working in the special education room at the high school, and the principal said, you cannot do that, you can't cling to your mother. And I said, I have nobody else to cling to, so I didn't know what else to do, so we went to private school. Private school was good, but not great. The thing that made it really hard was my teacher had never really worked with anybody who was so high up and at the high end of autism, and just had challenges with that. And I told her, I said, I am very glad that I get to break the mold for you. It is an honor and a privilege for me to kind of change your opinion of how you think it should be. And so I went there freshman and sophomore year, and then in the end of my junior year it closed, and I did shared schooling, and shared schooling was awesome. I loved it. I got to build my own schedule. I went to the high school for 2 classes a day, and then I worked at a nursing home, which I really just loved it. Those old people were just full of so much knowledge and wisdom, and they had so many kids that just kind of dumped them off and forgot about it, and it broke my heart. And that really helped me kind of start to grasp the real world. It really helped me because I learned that year was such a big year for me. I learned public transportation. I had my job. I got to experience getting a paycheck, and that was great, I rolled my company, and, that was my junior year. Oh, and I just recently got my driver's license. I'm 26 now. I got it when I was 25, and I really just feel great about it. One thing my parents I've been a late bloomer my whole life. I stopped sucking my thumb at 9, I tied my shoes at 9, I got my license at 25. And my parents kind of encouraged me to not do it until I was ready, because so much of my generation was, oh, I want to get my license because it's the trend and I want to be trendy, and they fully encouraged me to not take it until I grasped the concept that I have now, and it's great. Okay, where am I at now? Okay, what was helpful? Something I can tell you is that, don't be afraid to add things to that IEP. I know that there's only that one meeting once a year, but don't be afraid to add additional stuff as you see fit, and don't be afraid to just really get personal, because I can tell you the personal relationship that I had with my parents still stuck with me today, and that's what has made a difference in my career. And it really just don't be afraid to jump in and just add extra stuff, and communicating with your teachers is really key, and that alone made a huge difference. So don't be afraid to do that. And also, what else can I say? Just have fun. Having fun with your kids is so important. They're at that young age, and it's so important just to create, incentives for them that are gonna be geared to them, and don't be afraid to just kind of jump in, which I'm sure you already know. And that is really about all I have to say. And again, I just want to encourage all of you to just really get to know your kids, and don't be afraid to. And thank you so much for this opportunity, and good luck.